The galactic threat. The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Terran Defense Fleet materialized at the edge of the Sol system. Admiral Lyra Chen stood on the bridge of the TSS Defiant, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays surrounding her. The latest reports scrolled before her eyes, each one worse than the last. "Status update," she barked, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's fate. Lieutenant Commander Aiden Rodriguez, her second-in-command, stepped forward. "The Zarkonian fleets have pushed through the Orion Arm. Admiral, Arcturus has fallen, and New Eden is under siege. At their current pace, they'll reach Earth in less than 3 standard months." Lyra's jaw clenched. The Zarkonians, a hive-mind species of insectoid warriors, had emerged from the galactic core 2 years ago, sweeping through the established interstellar nations like a plague of locusts. Their bioorganic ships, capable of faster-than-light travel without the need for jump gates, gave them an insurmountable advantage. "And the Galactic Confederation?" Lyra asked, though she already knew the answer. Aiden's expression darkened. "Still debating, ma'am. The Centauri representatives are pushing for a non-aggression pact with the Zarkonians. The Aldebaran Concordat is calling for full mobilization, but they're being blocked by the Sirius Mercantile League." "Politicians," Lyra spat. She turned to face the main view screen, where a strategic map of known space glowed ominously. Red markers indicating Zarkonian-controlled systems crept ever closer to the blue dot representing Earth. "While they argue, humanity burns." As if on cue, an alert chimed. A junior officer called out, "Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Luna Base. It's Dr. Emilia Valdez from Xenorchaeology." Lyra's eyebrow arched. She'd met Valdez once, years ago, a brilliant but eccentric scientist obsessed with the ruins left behind by the long-vanished precursor civilization. "Put her through." The holographic displays flickered, resolving into the image of a disheveled woman with wild gray hair and eyes burning with an almost manic intensity. "Admiral Chen, thank the stars I reached you. We found something that could change everything." Lyra leaned forward, intrigued despite her skepticism. "I'm listening, Doctor." Emilia's words tumbled out in a rush. "We've been excavating a new precursor site on the far side of Luna. 3 days ago, we uncovered a chamber unlike anything we've ever seen. The technology there, it's beyond anything in our databases, but more importantly, we found this." The scientist held up what appeared to be a small pyramidal object. Its surface gleamed with an opalescent sheen, covered in intricate swirling patterns that seemed to shift and change as Lyra watched. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Lyra asked, her voice low. "We're calling it the Cosmic Keystone," Emilia replied, her eyes never leaving the artifact. "Its purpose isn't entirely clear, but our preliminary analysis suggests it's capable of, well, for lack of a better term, piercing the veil between dimensions." Aiden stepped closer to the hologram, his brow furrowed. "Are you saying this thing can open portals to other realities?" Emilia nodded vigorously. "Portals, wormholes, or something even more exotic. The energy readings we're getting are off the charts. But here's the truly astounding part. We found references to similar artifacts in the mythologies of dozens of species across the galaxy, always described as weapons of last resort, capable of calling forth beings of unimaginable power." Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. Beings powerful enough to stop the Zarkonians. "Potentially," Emilia said, "but also potentially capable of destroying us all. The legends are inconsistent on that point." For a long moment, silence reigned on the bridge of the Defiant. Lyra's mind raced, weighing the risks against the very real threat of extinction at the hands of the Zarkonian horde. "What do you need from me, Doctor?" Lyra finally asked. Emilia's expression turned grave. "Protection and resources. If the Zarkonians learn of the Keystone's existence, they'll stop at nothing to claim it. And we need the best minds in the galaxy working to unlock its secrets before it's too late." Lyra nodded, decision made. You'll have it. I'm dispatching a strike team to Luna immediately to secure the artifact and your research. Prepare for immediate evacuation to our most secure facility." As the transmission ended, Lyra turned to Aiden. "Assemble a team. I want our top soldiers, engineers, and xenolinguists, and find me Zora Tivosh." Aiden's eyes widened. "The Andromedan rogue. Admiral, with all due respect, she's a wanted criminal in 3-star systems. She's also the best xenotech expert in the known galaxy," Lyra countered. "If anyone can help us crack the secrets of this cosmic keystone, it's her. Use whatever means necessary to get her on board." As Aiden hurried off to carry out her orders, Lyra turned back to the strategic display. The red tide of Zarkonian expansion loomed ever closer. "I hope you're right about this, Valdez," she muttered. "Because if you're wrong, we might just hand the galaxy to our enemies on a silver platter." In the following days, a flurry of activity consumed the Terran military. Under the cover of routine defensive maneuvers, Lyra coordinated the assembly of what she privately termed Project Pandora. The cosmic keystone, along with Dr. Valdez and her team, were quietly transferred to a secret facility buried deep within the asteroid belt. Zara Tivosh proved as difficult to recruit as Lyra had anticipated. The Andromedan, a lithe humanoid with iridescent scaled skin and 4 arms, had a justified distrust of authority. It took the promise of a full pardon and unrestricted access to precursor tech to finally bring her on board. "This had better be worth my time, Admiral," Zara drawled as she sauntered onto the bridge of the Defiant. Her upper set of arms crossed defiantly while her lower hands tinkered with some inscrutable device. "Believe me, Ms. Tivosh, none of us can afford to waste time right now," Lyra replied, gesturing to the holographic display where the Zarkonian advance was clearly visible. Zara's multifaceted eyes narrowed as she took in the strategic situation. "Well, well, you Terrans have certainly gotten yourselves into a pickle, haven't you? And now you're desperate enough to play with forces beyond your comprehension." "That's where you come in," Lyra said. "Your expertise with precursor technology is unparalleled. We need you to help us understand the cosmic keystone. And fast." A sly smile spread across Zora's face. "Now that does sound intriguing. Lead the way, Admiral. Let's see this marvelous toy of yours." As they made their way to the secure lab where the keystone was held, Lyra couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. They were about to meddle with technology far beyond their understanding, all in a desperate bid to save not just humanity, but all sentient life in the galaxy from enslavement or extinction. The lab doors hissed open, revealing Dr. Valdez hunched over a complex array of scanning equipment. The cosmic keystone sat on a pedestal in the center of the room, its swirling patterns seeming to pulse with an inner light. Zara whistled low. "Oh, you beautiful thing," she murmured, all 4 of her hands reaching out instinctively before she caught herself. Dr. Valdez looked up, her tired eyes brightening at the sight of the Andromedan. "Ah, you must be Zara Tivosh. I've read all your papers on quantum entanglement in precursor gate technology. Brilliant work. Flattery will get you everywhere, Doctor," Zara replied with a wink. "Now tell me everything you know about this little marvel." As the 2 scientists fell into rapid discussion, Lyra felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time since the Zarkonian threat emerged, a glimmer of hope sparked in her chest. That spark was quickly doused as alarms began to blare throughout the facility. Aiden's voice crackled over the comms. "Admiral, we have multiple hostile contacts dropping out of FTL. Zarkonian scout ships, at least a dozen of them." Lyra's blood ran cold. "How did they find us?" "Unknown, ma'am, but they're moving to surround the facility. We need to evacuate now." Lyra turned to Valdez and Zara, her voice sharp with urgency. "Pack up everything essential. We're leaving." As chaos erupted around them, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. The race to unlock the cosmic keystone's power had begun in earnest, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The cosmic gamble, The TSS Defiant shuddered as another volley of Zarkonian energy weapons impacted its shields. In the ship's makeshift laboratory, Dr. Amelia Valdez braced herself against a workbench, her eyes never leaving the cosmic keystone. "We're running out of time." Admiral Lyra Chen's voice crackled over the intercom. "Please tell me you've made progress." Zara Tivosh, her four hands dancing over holographic interfaces, shot a glance at Amelia. "Progress is a relative term, Admiral. We've deciphered some of the base encryption, but this artifact, it's like nothing I've ever seen." Amelia nodded, her face pale with exhaustion. "The keystone isn't just a key, it's a lock as well. It's designed to contain something, to keep it separate from our reality. But the power required to maintain that separation is exactly what drew the Zarkonians to us." Lyra finished grimly. "How long until you can activate it?" Zara and Amelia exchanged a loaded look. "We can activate it now," Zara said slowly. "But Admiral, you need to understand the risks. We're talking about piercing the membrane between dimensions. Whatever comes through, we have no way to control it." The ship rocked again, more violently this time. Aiden's voice cut through the noise. "Admiral, our shields are failing. We can't take much more of this." Lyra closed her eyes for a brief moment, the weight of her decision pressing down on her. When she spoke again, her voice was steel. "Do it. Whatever the consequences, they can't be worse than what the Zarkonians have in store for us." Amelia's hands shook as she reached for the keystone. "God help us all," she whispered. As her fingers brushed the artifact's surface, the swirling patterns erupted into blinding light. A high-pitched whine filled the air, building to a crescendo that set teeth on edge and shattered every piece of glass in the lab. On the bridge, Lyra and Aiden watched in awe as space itself seemed to tear open before the Defiant. The rift sparkled with impossible colors, expanding rapidly to engulf both the human ship and the pursuing Zarkonian vessels. "All hands, brace for." Lyra's order was cut short as reality twisted around them. For an eternal moment, the crew of the Defiant experienced what could only be described as oblivion. They were everywhere and nowhere, their consciousnesses stretched across infinite possibilities. Then, as suddenly as it began, it was over. The ship snapped back into normal space with a bone-jarring lurch. "Status report," Lyra barked, fighting down a wave of nausea. Aiden, his dark skin ashen, scanned the readings before him. I'm not sure where we are, Admiral. These star patterns don't match anything in our database. And the Zarkonians, they're gone." A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Lyra's relief was short-lived. "What about the rift?" Before Aiden could answer, the main view screen lit up with a sight that stole the breath from every throat on the bridge. Vast, shimmering forms moved through the void of space. They defied easy description, seeming to shift and change, even as the eye struggled to comprehend them. Tendrils of energy coursed between the entities, and where they passed, the very fabric of space-time rippled and distorted. "My God," Aiden breathed. "What are they?" Lyra's calm crackled to life. Zara's voice, usually so confident, trembled slightly. "Admiral, you need to see this. The keystone, it's changing." In the lab, Lyra found Zara and Amelia staring transfixed at the artifact. The cosmic keystone now hovered above its pedestal, its form fluid and ever-shifting like the entities outside. "It's communicating with them," Amelia said, her voice filled with wonder and terror in equal measure. "No more than that. It's part of them." Zara nodded, her multifaceted eyes wide. "These beings, I think they're the precursors, Admiral, or what's left of them. They transcended physical form eons ago, becoming one with the cosmic forces that shape reality itself." Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. "Can we communicate with them? Make them understand we need their help?" As if in response to her question, a tendril of ethereal energy snaked out from the keystone. It touched each of them in turn, Lyra, Zara, Amelia. And in that instant, they understood. The cosmos unfolded before their minds. They saw the rise and fall of countless civilizations, the birth and death of galaxies. They witnessed the precursors' ascension and the terrible price they paid for cosmic power. And they saw the Zarkonians for what they truly were, not conquerors, but cosmic antibodies, evolved to purge the universe of species on the verge of following in the precursors' footsteps. As the vision faded, leaving them gasping and shaken, alarms blared throughout the ship. Aiden's panicked voice came over the comms. "Admiral, we've got company." Zarkonian ships, hundreds of them, just dropped out of FTL. Lyra rushed back to the bridge, her mind reeling from the cosmic download. The view screen showed a terrifying sight, a vast armada of bioorganic Zarkonian vessels, facing off against the unknowable forms of the ascended precursors. For a moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a silent flash that seared itself into the minds of all who witnessed it, the two forces clashed. Space itself buckled and warped as weapons beyond human comprehension were unleashed. Zarkonian ships were unmade in an instant, their component atoms scattered across dimensions. But the insectoid warriors fought back with terrible ferocity, their hive mind focused on a single goal, the destruction of the cosmic threat. Caught in the middle, the Defiant shuddered and groaned as conflicting forces threatened to tear it apart. "We need to get out of here," Aiden shouted over the cacophony of stressed metal and overloading systems. But Lyra stood transfixed, a terrible realization dawning. "No," she said softly. "We did this. We unleashed this chaos on the galaxy. We have to find a way to stop it." In the lab, Amelia and Zara worked feverishly, their minds still reeling from the cosmic insight granted by the Keystone. "If we can modify the containment field," Zara muttered, her forehands a blur of motion, "we might be able to create a resonance cascade." Amelia nodded, catching on to the Andromedan's train of thought. "Yes, use the Keystone to amplify the effect, creating a feedback loop that could force both the precursors and the Zarkonians back into their respective dimensions." As they raced against time, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. Reality itself seemed to fray at the edges, stars blinking in and out of existence as cosmic forces beyond mortal ken were brought to bear. On the bridge, Lyra made a decision. "Aiden, plot a course for the heart of that maelstrom. If our scientists' plan is going to work, we need to be at ground zero." Aiden's eyes widened in disbelief, but he nodded grimly. "Aye, Admiral, it's been an honor serving with you." As the Defiant plunged into the cosmic storm, its hull blazing with ethereal fire, Lyra sent out a broadband transmission to all frequencies. "To all sentient beings who can hear this message, we stand at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. The actions we take here, in this moment, will shape the destiny of our galaxy for eons to come. We unleashed forces beyond our comprehension in a desperate bid for survival, but in doing so, we may have doomed countless innocent lives. If we survive this, let it be known that humanity accepts full responsibility for this cataclysm, and we will spend every ounce of our strength, every spark of our ingenuity, making amends." As Lyra's words echoed across the stars, the Defiant reached the eye of the storm. In the lab, Amelia and Zara activated their hastily constructed device, channeling the power of the cosmic keystone in ways its creators had never intended. A pulse of indescribable energy radiated outward from the ship. For a moment that stretched into eternity, the universe held its breath. Then, with a silent explosion that rewrote the laws of physics in its wake, everything changed. The ascended precursors, the Zarkonian Armada, and the dimensional rift itself were drawn into a singularity of impossible proportions. As quickly as it formed, the singularity collapsed in on itself, leaving behind only echoes of the cosmic forces that had clashed there. In the sudden, deafening silence, the battered form of the TSS Defiant drifted amid the stellar debris. On its bridge, Admiral Lyra Chen slowly opened her eyes, scarcely daring to believe they had survived. "Status report," she croaked, her voice hoarse. Aiden, looking shell-shocked but alive, managed a weak smile. "We're alive, Admiral. Sensors are coming back online now. The Zarkonians, they're gone. All of them. And the precursor entities, too." Lyra sagged in her chair, relief warring with the enormous weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. "Send out a distress call on all frequencies. Let's hope there's someone left out there to hear it." As the Defiant limped through the star-studded void, its crew knew that nothing would ever be the same. They had glimpsed cosmic truths and faced extinction itself. Now, they faced an even greater challenge: rebuilding a shattered galaxy and ensuring that the hard-won wisdom of their experience was not forgotten. The cosmic gamble had been played. Humanity had survived, but at what cost? Only time would tell if the price had been too high. Unleashing the unknown. The TSS Defiant drifted through the void, a battered sentinel in a sea of cosmic debris. Days had passed since the cataclysmic event that had reshaped the galaxy. Admiral Lyra Chen stood before the view screen, her face etched with lines of exhaustion and worry. "Any response to our distress calls?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Aiden shook his head. "Nothing yet, Admiral. But given the scale of the event, it's possible that long-range communications across the galaxy have been disrupted." Lyra nodded grimly. "Or there's no one left to answer." The door to the bridge hissed open, admitting Dr. Amelia Valdez and Zara Tivosh. The unlikely pair had barely left the lab since the confrontation, working tirelessly to understand the changes wrought by the cosmic keystone. "Admiral," Amelia began, her voice tight with barely contained excitement and dread. "We've made a discovery. You need to see this." In the lab, the cosmic keystone hovered above its pedestal, its swirling patterns now dark and inert. But surrounding it was a holographic display of breathtaking complexity. "What am I looking at?" Lyra asked, her eyes struggling to make sense of the shifting mathematical equations and multidimensional models. Zara's 4 hands danced over the controls, manipulating the display. "This, Admiral, is a map of the new galaxy. Or perhaps I should say, galaxies." The display zoomed out, revealing not one, but 3 distinct galactic structures, intertwined in impossible ways. Amelia stepped forward, her eyes shining with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "When we activated the keystone and created that feedback loop, we didn't just banish the precursors and the Zarkonians. We merged realities." Lyra felt her blood run cold. "Merged realities? You mean?" "We're no longer in our original universe," Zora confirmed. "This new cosmos is a fusion of at least 3 distinct realities. Ours, the domain of the ascended precursors, and the home dimension of the Zarkonians." The implications were staggering. Lyra steadied herself against a console, her mind reeling. "The people we were trying to save may still exist," Amelia said quickly, "but in a radically altered form. The laws of physics themselves have been rewritten. Time and space as we understood them no longer apply uniformly across this new multiversal structure." As if to underscore her point, the ship's sensors suddenly blared to life. Aiden's voice crackled over the comms. "Admiral, we're picking up multiple contacts. Signatures unlike anything we've ever encountered." Lyra rushed back to the bridge, the others closed behind. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that defied comprehension. Vast structures of impossible geometry drifted through space, their surfaces rippling with colors beyond the visible spectrum. Surrounding them were swarms of smaller craft, some recognizably ship-like, others little more than swirling vortexes of energy. "Are they hostile?" Lyra demanded, her hand instinctively moving to the weapons controls. Before anyone could respond, the Defiant shuddered. A beam of coruscating energy lanced out from the nearest structure, enveloping the ship in a cocoon of scintillating light. For a moment, every screen and holographic display on the bridge went dark. Then, with a surge of power, they came back online. But what they showed was not the interior of the Defiant. Instead, The crew found themselves looking out through the sensors of one of the alien megastructures. Streams of data in unknown languages flowed across the displays, and through it all, a sense of vast, alien intelligence pressed against their minds. There, curious, Zora gasped, her multifaceted eyes wide with wonder. They've never encountered anything like us before. Emilia nodded, her fingers flying over a console as she attempted to make sense of the flood of information. It's some kind of telepathic interface. They're trying to communicate. Lyra steeled herself, stepping forward. I am Admiral Lyra Chen of the Terran Space Navy. We come in peace and seek to understand this new reality we find ourselves in. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Images and concepts flooded their minds, too fast and too alien to fully comprehend. But amid the torrent of information, certain impressions stood out. These beings were the result of the merger, hybrid entities born from the collision of realities. They possessed the cosmic awareness of the ascended precursors, the hive-mind adaptability of the Zarkonians, and echoes of countless other species from across the merged universes. And they were not alone. As the telepathic link expanded, the crew of the Defiant became aware of other presences, pockets of familiar spacetime where survivors of the cataclysm clung to existence, vast swathes of newborn realities where the laws of physics were still coalescing, and threading through it all, a growing awareness of the power and responsibility they now wielded. With a jolt, the telepathic connection broke. The Defiant systems returned to normal, but the crew stood in stunned silence, forever changed by what they had experienced. Admiral, Aiden said softly, breaking the silence. We're receiving a transmission. Audio only, but it's in Terran standard. Lyra nodded, her voice hoarse. Put it through. A familiar voice crackled over the speakers, one that Lyra had never expected to hear again. This is Grand Admiral Zhao of the Pan-Asian Consortium. To any human vessels receiving this transmission, we have survived, but we are not alone. The universe as we knew it is gone. We must unite if we are to survive what comes next. Lyra's mind raced. The Pan-Asian Consortium had been Earth's bitter rival in the days before the Zarkonian invasion. For Zhao to call for unity. Admiral, Emilia interjected, her voice urgent. The keystone. It's active again. On the lab's pedestal, the cosmic keystone pulsed with renewed energy. But now, instead of the chaotic swirls of before, its surface displayed a coherent pattern, a map of the new multiversal structure, with pulsing nodes highlighting points of critical importance. Zara studied the display, her expression grave. It's a warning, Admiral. The merger of realities we caused, it's not over. The boundaries between dimensions are still in flux. If we don't find a way to stabilize them, everything we know, everything we fought for, will be unmade. Lyra finished. The weight of the galaxy, no, of multiple galaxies, settled on Lyra's shoulders. They had acted out of desperate self-preservation, and in doing so, had reshaped the very fabric of existence. Now they bore the responsibility of navigating this new cosmic landscape. Aiden, set a course for the coordinates of Grand Admiral Zhao's transmission, Lyra ordered, and prepare a message to be broadcast on all frequencies we can access. As the Defiant's engines hummed to life, Lyra took a deep breath and began to speak. To all sentient beings across the merged realities, we stand at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. The actions we take now will determine the fate of not just one universe, but many. We have been granted power beyond imagining and a responsibility beyond measure. We cannot undo what has been done, but we can shape what comes next. I call upon every species, every civilization that can hear these words. Join us. Share your knowledge, your technology, your unique perspectives. Only together can we hope to stabilize this new multiversal structure and ensure a future for all. As Lyra's words echoed across dimensions, the Defiant plunged into the unknown. The crew knew that the greatest challenges and the greatest opportunities still lay ahead. They had unleashed forces beyond their comprehension, and now they would have to live with the consequences. The cosmic gamble had paid off in ways no one could have imagined. Now, the real work of building a stable, multiversal civilization was about to begin. Unlikely alliances. The TSS Defiant dropped out of its experimental multidimensional jump drive, ripples of distorted space-time washing over its hull. Before them loomed a massive space station, its architecture a mind-bending fusion of human ingenuity and alien geometries. Nexus Station, Aiden breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. I never thought I'd see it with my own eyes. Admiral Lyra Chen nodded, her face a mask of determination. In the months since their fateful encounter with the cosmic entities, Nexus Station had become the heart of the fledgling multiversal coalition, a desperate alliance of survivors from across the merged realities. Take us in, Aiden, Lyra ordered. And let's hope Grand Admiral Jeo's summit is more than just talk. We're running out of time. As the Defiant docked, Lyra couldn't help but marvel at how quickly the universe had changed. The station's docking bay was a cacophony of alien life forms, some familiar, others defying description. Beings of pure energy floated alongside insectoid hive minds and creatures that seemed to phase in and out of multiple dimensions simultaneously. Zara T. Vosh stepped up beside Lyra, all four of her hands fidgeting nervously. I'm picking up some chatter on the station's comm channels, Admiral. Not everyone's happy we're here. The cosmic keystone, it's become a point of contention. Lyra sighed. Can't say I'm surprised. Let's just hope cooler heads prevail. As they made their way to the central chamber, Lyra's team drew curious and sometimes hostile stares. Dr. Amelia Valdez clutched the containment case holding the cosmic keystone tightly, her knuckles white with tension. The doors to the summit chamber hissed open, revealing a vast circular room. Dozens of delegate stations ringed a central holographic projector, each occupied by representatives from different species and realities. At the head of the chamber stood Grand Admiral Jeo, his weathered face grim as he nodded in acknowledgement of Lyra's arrival. Admiral Chen, I'm glad you could make it. We have much to discuss. Before Lyra could respond, an angry shout rang out. Why should we trust the very beings who caused this calamity? The speaker was a Zarkonian, but unlike any Lyra had seen before, this one seemed to be an individual, not part of a hive mind, its chitinous exoskeleton shimmering with an inner light that spoke of cosmic awareness. Ambassador Catal, Zhao said, his voice level. We've been over this. The humans acted out of desperation, yes, but they also gave us the means to potentially stabilize our merged realities. At what cost? Catal chittered. Billions of my people were lost in the merger. Entire civilizations wiped from existence. The chamber erupted into angry shouts and recriminations. Species that had been mortal enemies mere months ago now found themselves reluctant allies, united only by their shared plight. Lyra stepped forward, her voice cutting through the din. We all have suffered losses beyond imagining, but the hard truth is this. What's done is done. We can't unmake the merger. Our only choice now is to work together to stabilize what remains, or watch as the fabric of our merged realities unravels completely. She nodded to Amelia, who carefully placed the containment case on a central pedestal. The cosmic keystone within pulsed with barely restrained energy. The keystone has shown us the critical nodes where our realities intersect. Lyra continued, if we can establish stabilization points at these nexuses, we might be able to prevent further deterioration. A being of pure light, its form barely constrained by an intricate mechanical exoskeleton, floated forward. And what of the indigenous life forms at these nexus points? The luminous Concordat cannot condone any action that might harm innocent beings. Zara stepped up, her multifaceted eyes gleaming with inspiration. What if we could communicate with them? Use the Keystone's power to establish a dialogue, seek their cooperation. The chamber fell silent, considering the implications. It was Zhao who broke the silence. An intriguing proposal, But how do we prevent the keystone from causing further reality distortions? Its power is immense and unpredictable. That's where we come in, a new voice said. All eyes turned to see a group of beings enter the chamber, their forms shifting and changing, as if they couldn't quite decide which dimension to exist in. Lyra recognized them immediately from the Defiant's first encounter after the merger. The hybrid entities, she breathed. The apparent leader of the group, a swirling vortex of energy that occasionally coalesced into a vaguely humanoid shape, addressed the assembly. We are the children of the merger, born of the collision between realities. We have inherited the cosmic awareness of the precursors and the adaptability of the Zarkonians. We offer our assistance in stabilizing the multiverse. Kittel chittered skeptically. And why should we trust you? You're as much a product of this calamity as the keystone itself. The hybrid entity's form rippled with what might have been amusement. Precisely. We understand the forces at work better than any of you, and we have a vested interest in maintaining the stability of our new shared reality. Lyra's mind raced, seeing the potential in this unexpected alliance. If we combine the hybrid entity's cosmic awareness with the keystone's power and our own diverse technologies and perspectives, we might just have a chance, Joe finished, nodding slowly. Over the next several hours, an unlikely plan took shape. Teams would be assembled, each a microcosm of the diverse alliance they were forging, to travel to the critical nexus points identified by the keystone. There, they would work to establish stabilization protocols, negotiating with any indigenous life forms, and drawing upon the unique strengths of each team member. As the summit drew to a close, Lyra found herself standing with Joe, watching as the various delegates mingled, already beginning to form their expedition teams. Do you think this can actually work, Lyra? Zhao asked quietly, for once dropping the formal titles. Lyra watched as Zura enthusiastically explained some concept to a group that included a Zarkonian, 2 energy beings, and what appeared to be a sentient quantum probability cloud. Despite everything, she felt a smile tugging at her lips. I don't know, she admitted, but for the first time since this all began, I hope. We've seen the worst of each other, centuries of war and mistrust. But we've also seen the best. Courage, adaptability, the willingness to reach across boundaries we once thought insurmountable. Zhao nodded thoughtfully. Well said. We'll need all of that and more for what lies ahead. As if to underscore his words, the cosmic keystone pulsed, its glow intensifying. The holographic display in the center of the chamber shifted, revealing new data about the steadily approaching dimensional shockwave that threatened to unravel their fragile merger. Lyra straightened her shoulders, her voice ringing out across the chamber. All right, everyone. You have your assignments. Let's make history, not just for one world or one reality, but for all of them. As the assembled beings dispersed, preparing for the greatest multiversal expedition ever attempted, Lyra felt the weight of infinite possibilities settling upon her. They had unleashed forces beyond imagining, but in doing so, they had also unlocked the potential for something truly extraordinary. The unlikeliest of alliances had been forged in the crucible of cosmic calamity. Now it was time to see if it would be enough to save not just one universe, but many. A new galactic order. The vastness of the multiverse stretched out before the view screen of the TSS Defiant, now transformed into a ship unlike any that had come before. Its hull shimmered with the iridescent energy of a dozen realities, a testament to the unprecedented collaboration that had brought them to this moment. Admiral Lyra Chen stood at the helm, surrounded by a crew that defied imagination. Zara Tivosh's 4 hands danced across a console of pure thought-responsive energy. Dr. Amelia Valdez worked in tandem with a Zarkonian scientist, their minds linked via a neural interface. And at Tactical, a hybrid entity named Axion flowed between stations, its consciousness spread across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Status report, Lyra called out, her voice steady despite the weight of trillion souls resting on their mission. Aiden, His body now partially phase-shifted to better interface with the ship's multiversal systems, responded. "We're approaching the final nexus point, Admiral. Dimensional stress is off the charts. If we're going to stabilize the merger, it has to be now." Lyra nodded grimly. "Zara, are the other teams in position?" The Andromedan's multifaceted eyes flickered with data streams. "Affirmative. Grand Admiral Zhao's team has secured the Alpha Nexus. K'tal's group is holding steady at Beta. We're the last piece of the puzzle." "The cosmic keystone is at full power," Emilia reported, her voice overlaid with the harmonic tones of her Zarkonian counterpart. "But Admiral, the energy readings, they're like nothing we've ever seen. There's no guarantee we can control this." Lyra felt a familiar chill run down her spine. Once again, they stood at the precipice of cosmic forces beyond their full comprehension. But this time, they weren't acting out of desperate self-preservation. This time, they carried the hopes of countless civilizations across the merged realities. "We've come too far to turn back now," Lyra said, her voice carrying to every corner of the ship and through their linked communications to every member of their unlikely alliance across the multiverse. "Everything we've learned, every hardship we've overcome, has led us to this moment. Together, we've proven that the barriers between us, be they species, ideology, or even the walls between realities, can be overcome." She took a deep breath, feeling the eyes of her diverse crew upon her. "Initiate the stabilization sequence. Let's rewrite the laws of physics one last time. But this time, we do it on our terms." As one, the crew sprang into action. The Defiant pulsed with energy as it maneuvered into position at the heart of the Omega Nexus. Across the multiverse, at the other critical junctures, their allies did the same. The cosmic keystone, now integrated into the ship's systems, began to glow with an intensity that threatened to overwhelm their sensors. Streams of multidimensional data flowed through the neural links connecting the crew, each member contributing their unique perspective and expertise to the monumental task at hand. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as the stabilization protocols activated. The view screen erupted in a kaleidoscope of impossible colors as the very fabric of space-time was rewritten at the most fundamental level. For a moment that stretched into eternity, every being connected to the effort felt the weight of infinite possibilities pressing down upon them. They glimpsed realities where their gambit failed, where the merger collapsed in on itself, erasing everything they had fought to preserve. But they also saw futures of unimaginable beauty and potential, where the combined knowledge and diversity of multiple universes led to a cosmic renaissance. With a silent explosion that echoed across dimensions, the stabilization wave expanded outward from each nexus point. Where before there had been chaos and entropy, now there was harmony. A new cosmic order that preserved the unique aspects of each contributing reality, while forging them into a coherent whole. As the energy surge subsided, Lyra found herself holding her breath. "Did it work?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Action's fluid form coalesced next to her, its voice resonating on multiple frequencies simultaneously. Scans confirmed dimensional stability across all merged realities. "Admiral, the multiverse, it's singing." A cheer went up from the crew, equal parts elation and disbelief. They had done it. Against all odds, they had reshaped the very foundations of existence itself. As the Defiant cruised through the newly stabilized multiverse, the true scope of what they had achieved began to sink in. Stars that had been torn apart by dimensional stress now burned bright and steady. Planets that had been ravaged by reality storms showed signs of healing. And through it all, the diverse species and civilizations that had come together in this cosmic crucible found themselves irrevocably changed by the experience. In the days and weeks that followed, a new galactic, no, multiversal, order began to take shape. The multiversal coalition, born of necessity, now stood as a shining example of what could be achieved when barriers were broken down and differences were celebrated rather than feared. Nexus Station became the capital of this new civilization, its impossible architecture a constant reminder of the miraculous merger they had all survived and shaped. Representatives from every corner of the stabilized multiverse gathered there, working together to navigate the challenges and opportunities of their new shared reality. Admiral Lyra Chen, hailed as one of the architects of the new cosmic order, found herself at the center of it all. As she stood before the assembled delegates of the Multiversal Coalition, she reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. "We stand here today, not as conquerors or saviors," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber and beyond, to countless worlds across the merged realities, but as humble witnesses to the birth of something truly extraordinary. "We have seen the face of cosmic forces beyond imagining, and in doing so, we have discovered the true depths of our own potential." She gestured to the diverse assembly before her, humans standing alongside Zarkonians, energy beings in deep discussion, with silicon-based life forms and hybrid entities, fluidity moving through it all. Our differences once drove us apart, led us to conflict and the brink of annihilation. But in our darkest hour, those same differences became our greatest strength. We have proven that the universe, the multiverse, is not a zero-sum game. There is room for all of us, infinite possibilities waiting to be explored. Lyra's eyes met those of her former rivals turned allies, Grand Admiral Zhao, Ambassador Ketal, and so many others who had played crucial roles in their shared victory. "The challenges ahead are many," she continued. "We have been granted power and knowledge beyond our wildest dreams, and with it comes great responsibility. We must use this gift wisely, ensuring that no single species or ideology dominates, that the rich tapestry of our merged realities is preserved and celebrated." As Lyra's words echoed across the stars, seeds of a new era were already taking root. Research teams comprised of scientists from 100 realities worked to unlock the secrets of their new multiversal home. Diplomatic corps trained in the intricacies of cross-dimensional negotiations set out to forge new alliances and heal old wounds. And deep in the cosmic wilderness, exploration fleets prepared to chart the infinite frontiers that now lay open before them. The cosmic keystone, once a source of fear and uncertainty, now stood as a symbol of their shared destiny. Its energies, carefully harnessed and studied, promised to unlock technologies and insights that would propel their new civilization to heights undreamed of. As the assembly concluded and the delegates dispersed to begin the monumental task of governing a multiversal civilization, Lyra found herself back on the observation deck of Nexus Station. The swirling cosmos beyond the view screen was both familiar and utterly alien, a constant reminder of how far they had come and the infinite journey that still lay ahead. Zara Tivosh joined her, all four of her hands clasped behind her back in a gesture of contentment. "Quite a view, isn't it, Admiral? Or should I say, Chancellor Chen?" Lyra smiled ruefully at the new title. "I'm not sure I'll ever get used to that. This is bigger than any one person, any one species. That's precisely why you're the right person to help lead us into this new age," Zara replied. "You've never lost sight of the bigger picture, even when that picture encompassed multiple universes." As they stood in comfortable silence, watching the ebb and flow of multiversal traffic around the station, Lyra felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced since before the Zarkonian invasion that had started it all. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had grappled with cosmic forces and forged a new destiny. And now, they stood at the dawn of an age of infinite possibility. The cosmic gamble had paid off beyond their wildest imaginations. Now, the real adventure was just beginning. As Nexus Station rotated, bringing new constellations into view, Lyra Chen, Admiral, Chancellor, and reluctant hero of a reborn multiverse, allowed herself a moment of pure, unadulterated wonder. They had rewritten the laws of physics and reshaped the very nature of reality. What would they achieve next? The answer, like the newly stabilized multiverse itself, was limitless.